Imagine a country that today has the world's most powerful military, some of the largest companies on Earth, and enormous global influence. Pause. Now, imagine that. Not so long ago, it was only 13 British colonies on the edge of a vast continent. So, how did those 13 colonies become the United States? And what happened along the way that changed the course of history?
Long before America existed, this land was already home to hundreds of native societies, each with their own languages, governments, and cultures. Then, European powers arrived, searching for land, resources, and influence.
The British eventually established 13 colonies along the eastern coast. For years, they remained part of the British Empire. Then, Britain demanded more taxes. The colonists had to pay for goods and documents while having no representatives in Parliament. Anger grew until in 1773, protesters threw British tea into Boston Harbor. And suddenly, rebellion was becoming war. In 1775, fighting erupted at Lexington and Concord. The following year, on July 4th, 1776, the colonies declared independence. But Britain had no intention of letting them go. The Revolutionary War continued for years, until the American victory at Saratoga convinced France to join the fight. With French support, American forces trapped the British at Yorktown. In 1783, Britain recognized American independence. But the story was far from over. America began expanding westward. In 1803, Thomas Jefferson purchased the Louisiana Territory from France for $15 million, nearly doubling the nation's size. But expansion came with a devastating cost. Native communities were forced from their ancestral lands, while thousands suffered during the infamous Trail of Tears. The growth of a nation came at a terrible human cost. Then, another issue threatened to tear America apart: slavery. As the country expanded, the argument over free and slave states became increasingly violent. In 1861, the Civil War began. 4 years later, the Confederacy surrendered. Slavery was abolished. America then entered an age of railroads, factories, immigration, and rapid industrial growth. Cities expanded. Factories multiplied. And millions of people arrived seeking a new life. In an energetic historical tone, gold transformed California. Industry transformed the nation. And America's influence continued to grow. World War I expanded America's global influence. Then, Pearl Harbor pulled the nation into World War II. Powerful, American industry exploded. And the Manhattan Project produced the atomic bomb. The United States had entered a completely different era. After World War II, America faced a new rival: the Soviet Union. The Cold War pushed the nation into a race for military power. technology, and space. In 1969, for the first time in human history, people were standing on another world. Meanwhile, the civil rights movement challenged segregation and transformed American society. Millions demanded greater equality. And the country was forced to confront one of the deepest contradictions in its own history. The nation that spoke of freedom was still struggling to define who that freedom truly belonged to. Then came September 11th, 2001. A tragedy that reshaped America's relationship with the world. The country entered a new era, one defined by war, security, terrorism, and a changing global order. So, how did 13 colonies become a global superpower? Not through one victory. Through revolution, expansion, conflict, immigration, industry, war, science, and countless turning points. And perhaps the most fascinating part? America's history isn't finished. The next chapter is still being